Central Minnesota Sports Hub. It's the Morning Sports Desk, presented by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and streaming on YouTube.
Powered by the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena, this is the Morning Sports Desk. I'm CJ Baumgartner. That's Corey Tackman. It is a Tuesday, the 29th of April. And we go right into more high school sports. Corey, the weather yesterday, icky. The weather today, much better.
It was 20 degrees cooler when I got to work this morning than yesterday morning. It was, as a matter of fact, when I got to work yesterday morning, it was warmer than today's forecasted high.
Yep. Today's
going to be darn near perfect. But once you get to mid-afternoon, early evening, it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, it was like, thank goodness it was only 70 degrees yesterday because it was muggy.
Sticky. Walked upstairs in this building and was like, I can feel the moisture as I breathe in this air.
Yeah. It's gross.
It's not good at all. So yeah, and it makes it a great day for some Park Region Conference baseball, and that's what we have on the airwaves on the Superstation K106, 105.9 FM, also streaming online at WDC or the Superstation K106 mobile app. It's Wadena Deer Creek hosting Bertha-Hewitt Verndale in Park Region Conference baseball. 4:15 pregame, again 4:30 first pitch on the Superstation K106. Taking a look at the old PRC standings, Wadena Deer Creek right now at 4-3 in the PRC. Bertha-Hewitt Verndale at 3-3. Wadena Deer Creek is 5-4 overall. Bertha-Hewitt Verndale 6-4 overall. I know we've done a lot of talking about the Wolverines, but let's do a little talk about the Raiders and see what's going on here with how their season has started out. They started out with a loss to New York Mills and then got some victories over Pine River Bacchus and Otter Tail Central, lost to Parker's Prairie, then beat Frazee and Sabika, loss against Pillager, a win in extra innings against Monaga, had a loss to Mille Lacs over the weekend, and then a victory against Nevis on Saturday as well. They played Mille Lacs and Nevis, both in Nevis on Saturday. So they turn around for a Tuesday game here against Wadena Deer Creek as they try and keep their season rolling in the Park Region Conference. Looking on the schedule here, it looks like for Bertha-Hewitt Verndale, Wadena Deer Creek, and Pillager both on the road this week. And I know a Saturday game does kind of mess up the pitch count stuff maybe a little bit, kind of as you do that math. But if you're looking at that for Bertha-Hewitt Verndale and who you throw on the mound, how you manage the pitching staff, that's always it's always very important this time of year, kind of how many games you have in a week and how that kind of stresses your starting staff. And I know we've talked about this a lot, Corey. The amount of pitchers you have kind of dictate the success, especially the later in the season you go. For Wadena Deer Creek, they did not have a game yesterday, as did most everybody around because of the weather. But outside of the game against Bertha-Hewitt Verndale, they just have a game against Pine River Bacchus on Friday. So again, both of these teams only 2 games on the week. We're probably going to see a lot of the pitching staff used today, or at least a lot of the top of the pitching staff thrown out there.
It's a conference game. It's an important game, and we're getting into that time of year now. It all happens so quickly, right? The season's only a few weeks old, but there's only truthfully a few weeks left in this regular season. So this is we're in that now, getting to May, approaching May. Like, lineups are starting to settle in and finding those rotations, and arms should be good. And this is a big. I'm interested in that. Bertha-Hewitt Verndale Mille Lacs score. Do you have that? Are you still looking at that in front of you?
Yeah, I can pull that up here. Going back to the game Bertha-Hewitt Verndale had against Mille Lacs, that was in Nevis on Saturday. It was 15-4, according to MinnesotaScores.net.
So that's an interesting one because those should be both Section 5 teams, right? If I'm not mistaken. And
QRF of Mille Lacs was about 37.5 going into that game. Bertha-Hewitt Verndale's right now is at about 40.4. So those teams roughly similar. And again, it kind of can come down to the pitching matchup in that game. It's the end of the week. You played some games before, and that sometimes factors in.
Well, the reason I was interested in that was for those reasons, but also because when you look around the Park region and you see some of these results this year, it's kind of everybody beating everybody right now.
There's
There's not like, I would assume is Parker's at the top of the conference, kind of clear. But even like they've lost a conference match or two, and it's anybody's call right now. Kind of the way the Park region is going to go. I would assume probably, especially in a race for second place.
Yeah, so here's how the Park Region Conference standings sit right now in baseball. Parker's Prairie 5-1, leading the conference. Ottertail Central and Wadena Deer Creek are in a tie at 4-3. New York Mills at 4-4. Bertha-Hewitt Verndale and Pillager are at 3-3. Sabika at 3-4. Monaga at 1-6. So yeah, there's a lot of 500 or close to it. Nobody outside of Parker's, who now is kind of built a little bit of a lead, but not that big of a lead. It's Park Region Conference baseball, man. Anybody can beat anybody any given Sunday, all that good stuff.
Hallelujah. Let's play some baseball.
As they say in baseball, let's play baseball. Let's do it. Do you ever, this is an aside, and then we'll move on to talk a little bit about Pizza Ranch, but watching the baseball game on Sunday, watching the Twins game, my wife was sleeping in the chair. It's like Sunday after church. She's like, just kind of, that's her like, hey, you watch the kid. I'm going to take a rest here. And we're just watching the baseball game. I'm sitting on the couch. The kid's like playing with the toys in the living room. And all of a sudden it's the middle of the 7th inning. And normally it's taking me out to the ball game, but it's a Sunday. So they do God Bless America. Mm-hmm. And normally, the broadcast, especially if it's the home like broadcast, will stick with it and like show it on TV. And this lady is doing a beautiful job singing God Bless America. And then my 11-month-old is just like looking up at the TV, like as soon as he hears the singing. And then like, as soon as it's done for like the next 2 minutes, he's like trying to sing. Like you could hear him like trying to harmonize like the tune of God Bless America. And I like look back I like was laughing. And then I turned back and my wife woke up. Like her eyes are closed. She's like, you can tell she's trying to sleep, but she can't stop laughing because he's trying to sing along to God Bless America.
He's just bellowing along with it. It's awesome.
It's like, great. He's 11 months old, and I'm already this kid's going to be a yapper. Like,
I hate to break it to you, but his father's in radio, so
it's not a good sign for his mom. That's the problem.
We were sitting around at our kitchen table the other night for supper, and all three of those boys were they were telling their own stories. They were telling 3 separate stories at the exact same time. And I was like, whoa.
Hold up here.
You guys talk so much. And my wife goes, where do you think they got it from, you big idiot? Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. There's, there's a lot of the parenting reels and parenting TikToks that go around. And the favorite one I like to share with my wife is the one where it's just like when you realize you're arguing with a miniature version of your husband, and it just shows them like a mom just like,
yeah.
There's 2 of you.
Like, you're screwed. Sorry.
You're screwed, Marissa. I'm sorry. All right. Anyway, but let's talk a little Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade, because no matter if your kid's a yapper or if your kid's the silent type, their Fun Zone gets pulled out at the FunZone and Pizza Ranch in Wadena. Corey?
There's only 2 days left to earn your 1,000 free FunZone tickets. There's only today and tomorrow is the official wind down of this. FunZone reward members can earn 1,000 free FunZone tickets when they play, buy, or reload 3 times by the end of April, which means you got to make this happen quickly because there's only 2 days left. How can you do this? Well, you can play by stopping into the FunZone and playing your favorite games. You can buy a new FunZone card at the FunZone Arcade or online, or you can reload your current FunZone card at the FunZone or online. If you're not a FunZone Rewards member, it's really simple. You're watching the Morning Sports Desk on YouTube. Just figure out that QRF code and you are off and running. Of course, you can stop in to the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade, and that is the way we would recommend you do it. Stop into the FunZone Arcade, buy that card, reload that card, play those games, earn those 1,000 free FunZone tickets, have a little supper thanks to the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena.
I really appreciated how you called it a QRF code.
What is it called?
QR code.
I did say QRF, didn't I?
Yeah. Well, the good news is not only can it take you right to the link, but it can also tell you its basically ranking score based off its wins.
Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade ranked number 1 in the QRF in the state of Minnesota.
As it should, regardless of class, by the way.
I don't know. I said that. That's funny. And then when you repeated it, I was like, I don't understand what's wrong with that. I said it perfectly.
All right. Let's talk a little Wild. Game 5 is tonight. They are back in Vegas, so which means the puck drop time is like 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock? That sound right?
I'll look it up. I think it might be 8:30.
8:30, hopefully. Either way, it's going to be a late night for the Wild fans out there because they're back in Vegas. It's a weeknight, so all that stuff. It was really nice on Saturday when puck drop was like 3 o'clock. It was like, this is great. This is like the most ideal time ever. And no, instead we got to move back to, I think even the puck drop for game 3 back at the X on like a Thursday night was pretty reasonable. So it was, it'd be like that. Basically.
I think it's 8:30.
I could just use the old Google machine, I guess, I suppose. 8:30 puck drop tonight. Don't ask me where it's being broadcast. I want to say like ESPN. No, TNT.
Usually my YouTube TV gives me the option of, is it TNT or True TV?
Do you want to watch it on TBS or do you want to watch it on the Impractical Jokers channel?
Right. What else is it?
Might not be the Impractical Jokers channel for long. But anyway, that's the Wild play tonight. Corey, honestly, I think basically it just kind of comes down to, can the Wild continue the goal scoring barrage that they've been able to have over the last few games? That's pretty much been the key to success for the Wild, was getting up early and cruising. In the 2 games they've lost, the Golden Knights have had leads in the game. The other 2 games the Wild have won, they've got out early and they got multiple goal leads and they hung out, which is obviously, well, if you just want to win the game, get up big early. Duh. Like, look at me, I'm smart.
Good game plan.
That's been I would just simply score goals and prevent the other team from scoring goals. I don't know why the Wild don't listen to me.
It's an easy sport.
It really is. But I mean, that's really is the key to the game plan for the Wild, is don't get behind early. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. Yep. I have nothing to add. Like, that don't get behind, don't be down 3 goals to none at the end of the first period.
Right, exactly. And for Vegas, there's a Vegas crowd that almost, like, the Wild took game 2, the Wild took game 3, and it felt like, things are getting out of control. The Golden Knights won game 4 to kind of even the series back, and they got home ice again.
Like, they grabbed that momentum right back by the testicles, you know?
Exactly. It took an overtime victory where the Wild played pretty dead in that overtime period and lost on a power play goal in overtime. So, like, it felt like, okay, Vegas they got back home. The series they still have the home ice advantage. Like, if they just win their home games, they're going to be fine. So the Wild, like, it's obviously like, it's math, right? Whichever team in tied 2-2 wins game 5 goes on to win like a super high percentage of the time. Like, this game just, and there's a reason for that, because you just only have to win 1 out of 2. Your odds are much better.
Just math. That's just statistically.
Right. Exactly. It's just common sense. So win tonight, Wild, please, for Zeke's mental health.
I mean, I'm going to have that thing on and I'm going to be, I will have, I will not be afraid to turn that thing off early.
If it's 2-0 Golden Knights at the end of the first period, Mr. Tackman's going to bed.
I'll turn on the basketball game and wait for my texting and social media updates to alert me to turn it back on.
Mm-hmm. I will probably just go to bed. Or I'll be
that too.
You know what I'll be doing? The game might be over by then. It probably will be over by then. But the Minnesota Twins, you could just watch them instead. Although, you know, wait.
And how you even hinted suggesting that?
It's not even a Tuesday home game, so we don't even get that on Fox 9 either.
How dare you suggest that?
The Minnesota Twins got an 11-1 victory yesterday over the Gardos. They have now won 4 in a row. And if you go back to the win against the White Sox, they have now won, 6 out of their last 7 games.
Yep.
They've from being like 10-16 or 7-10 or whatever. The point is they are now 13-16. And yesterday's win was important for the Twins, not only to get another win, not only to beat the Fraudians in Cleveland, but also because with the victory, the Twins, for the first time this season, Corey, have a positive run differential.
What? That's fun.
Yeah, turns out when you don't score a run for the first 2 weeks of the season, you're going to just have a negative run differential.
And a terrible record.
Exactly. Now they have
and it's not very often you have a negative run differential and a winning record.
Right. I think the Twins did it in 2017.
They sure did, but there's not many other times it's happened.
Uh-huh. And so that was important to get that 11-run outburst, just to make the conscience feel good. You know what was a negative run differential? Cleveland. Sucks to be them. They have
really bad.
Yeah, except for the Detroit Tigers, apparently.
Well, somebody's got to start out hot.
Here's the AL Central standings as of this morning. Detroit has an 18-11 record for a .621 winning percentage. Cleveland is at 15-13. They're 2.5 games back of the Tigers. The Royals are 14-15. The Twins are 13-16. And the Chicago White Sox are 7-21 with a .250 winning percentage. They are 10.5 games back of first place.
I think you shared this yesterday, but Chicago is somehow worse than last year's team.
Yes, they are.
Historical.
It's a worse roster than it was last year, but like people were like, "There's no way you can be worse," right?
Yes, there is, because they're a worse roster somehow than last year.
Right. So it's looking at the White Sox stat. I'm trying to find the graphic for the game. But it's not been good for the White Sox. In 2024, they had a team average of 221, on base 278, slugging 340, and OPS 618. Those obviously are not good, bottom of the league. They had a 41-121 record, which is the worst in baseball history.
Yes. Outside of the like 1909 Cleveland Spiders, who had fewer wins, but a higher winning percentage because there were fewer games during the regular season, right?
Uh-huh.
It's something like that.
Yep. And by the way, the White Sox in 2024 had a .253 winning percentage. As of the time of this graphic, the White Sox were 5-17 for a .227 winning percentage. They have a .196 batting average, a .270 on base percentage, and a .305 slugging. Or a .575 OPS. Now, granted, they've been on a roll. They went 2-4 in their last 6 to bump up that winning percentage for a 7-21 record to .250.
Wow,
that would still be worse than last year's team.
Yeah, they really.
We're a month into the season, Corey.
They really suck. And what was the other one? There's another team who's even worse than them somehow.
Our Rockies have won 4 baseball games this season.
4 games. We're 5 weeks. That's less than a win a week.
Uh-huh.
That's really awful.
Let me put it to you this way. The Colorado Rockies are a baseball team that plays in a bar. Coors Field is the most expensive bar or tap room you could go to in Denver. That's essentially what that ballpark is all about, vibes, because the owners don't care, because it's such a good, it's the way like a lot of people think Target Field is. Like Coors Field is awesome. That's like a bucket list ballpark. I'd love to go there.
Yep, me too.
I've been to Denver 3 times in my life. I've never been to Coors Field, and it makes me irrationally angry. I want to go see a game at Coors Field, but and a lot of people do, because like they do sell pretty good tickets compared to how bad their team is, because it's a good vibe, and they make a big deal about you can buy Blue Moons or something like that in there, whatever. But the problem is they're so content with that they sell enough tickets, and they signed a Chris Bryant. They traded Arenado, immediately used that money to sign Chris Bryant, and then went, we signed 1 big contract. We're done. The Rockies are bad. They don't sign free agents. Their farm system is terrible. There is no hope on the horizon. The White Sox are bad, right? They're bad, but at least they're in a big media market. They play in a bad division, and eventually Jerry Reinsdorf is going to turn to dust, and the Ishbias are going to take over. Will they be good? I don't know, but they're certainly going to be more they're certainly going to be giving more effort than what the Reinsdorfs are giving right now to that franchise. If you're Colorado, until the Mumfords sell the team, they're just meant to rot away in the division. By the way, the Dodgers, the Giants, the Padres, and the Diamondbacks all are fielding really nice teams this year.
So that all just is also bad luck too. Like it's a little, what can you do about that? Is it Mumford and
his son? Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I'm taking this conversation all over the place because you keep bringing up different names. Did you see the Chicago White Sox City Connects or whatever they're called?
Yeah, it's basically just a Bulls jersey.
They're so nice.
They are very clean. And you know what? Props to doing one that actually is like rooted in your city. My only critique of it is the White Sox are like an 100-plus-year-old brand, and they just can't help but never lean into their own brand. Like, you know what I mean? The White Sox, as a baseball team, they're like one of the oldest baseball franchises in history, and their history is so bad.
Yeah, no,
they can't lean into anything.
It's a tormented fan base and a long tumultuous franchise. But I love that they've done the thing that I think every sports fan in a market wants their team to do. Obviously, they can do this because the owner of the White Sox is the owner of the Bulls.
Most notably, after the White Sox won the World Series in 2005, he went buy Bulls tickets.
They're right. They're like very closely connected, but also the city. It's like they're representing the city. I think it's a really cool thing. I would love if the Twins had a city connect that was Vikings colors, or the Timberwolves did a city connect in the Twins like red. I just think that would. I love that idea. And they're pinstriped, which is classic White Sox. The White Sox, we have always known them, are black and white, but they have a long history of red in their team colors. They're just great uniforms. It's a great city connect that if they were their real jerseys, you would not notice.
Right.
The Twin City Connect look a little bit like, and most City Connects look a little like a men's slow pitch softball uniform.
Yeah.
And these don't. These look like real baseball uniforms. And the fact that they're tied to the Bulls like that is really cool. I love it. The next year they should do a Bears one. They just should. That's a cool way to use the corporate buzzword, synergize your franchise.
Right, exactly. And it's every Bleacher Report article from 2014 come to life. What would happen if the Timberwolves and Vikings swapped uniforms?
You can make fun of it all you want. I loved those things. I loved that's what they that concept and that idea. So shout out White Sox. You did one thing right this year.
One thing right in your entire accursed franchise history. So the thing your franchise is best known for is throwing a World Series. And good job, guys.
Right.
Good job. Good job, White Sox.
You did it.
You did it. One competent thing as a franchise. It never gets old ragging on the White Sox. It really does. At least they get to play in a great ballpark.
Been there. I saw Oswaldo Arcia hit one out of the stadium, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I went on Elvis night. It was cool.
Did Oswaldo give a little hip thrust as he was a little pop and lock as he was going around second base?
Oswaldo did whatever Oswaldo wanted to do, but he hit that home run so far.
So far. All right. Twins go again against the Gardos today. This is an important series, by the way, for the Twins and Cleveland. Just because of Cleveland, again, I think it's a little bit of a paper tiger so far this season. And the Twins are starting to kind of pick themselves back up by their feet. The play like the worst team in baseball for the 2 weeks of the season and then turn it around gimmick is like the third year in a row that they've done this.
Hate it.
I hate it to my core. But they are starting to turn things around. If they sweep the Guardians, they would get back to 500 and would likely be second place in the division and be right there chasing the Tigers, who they don't play. I don't think the Twins play the Tigers on my schedule here. I'm looking. They don't play Detroit until late June, but hey, them's the breaks. An update on Luke Keyshaw. He also won't be back until late June, so that's great. Matt Wallner still out for a considerable amount of time. Royce Lewis, they're saying, could potentially come back for the Boston series. So could Willie Castro. Willie Castro more likely to come back for the Boston series. They said maybe Royce Lewis would come back, not on Friday in Boston, but maybe they would wait until that Tuesday when they're back home to play the Orioles. So just a little like he's already, I don't know if he's traveling with the team or what his rehab looks like, but if he's back at Target Field working like in the training room at the clubhouse, then like you might as well just wait 3 more days and get him back on there. So those are the injury updates there. The other thing, by the way, Corey, remember Jonah Bride?
Nope.
Remember that guy the Twins traded? The Twins got from the Marlins, so the Marlins players didn't have to buy soda in the clubhouse.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Jonah Bride. He got designated for assignment by the Miami Marlins because he started off the season going 4 for 40.
That's
not
pretty
great.
Yeah,
not great. But
actually, now I want to tell you that now I actually do remember that because I remember us talking about him and being really like kind of amazed at 4 for 40.
4 for 40. So he got shipped out. He came to Minnesota and he basically, for lack of a better term, like overhauled his swing since coming here. Since joining the Minnesota Twins baseball club, he has 7 hits in 15 plate appearances. Well, what is that in at-bats? Here we go. In 14 at-bats, he's got 6 hits.
That's
or 14 at-bats, 7 hits.
Yeah, I'll take a 500 batting average.
Yeah. Also turns out when you're hitting in the Minnesota Twins lineup compared to the Miami Marlins. Quick, name a Miami Marlin.
Jose Reyes.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Mike Redmond.
Hanley Ramirez.
Josh Beckett.
Miguel Cabrera.
Mike Lowell.
Jim Leland. Livan Hernandez, Twins legend. Yeah. Good job, Miami. Good job. You are that market is begging for a good baseball team and you refuse to do it. Good job. So glad we could tear down the Orange Bowl to build that stadium. That was great. Awesome.
I don't like always saying it could always be worse as a Minnesota Twins fan, but holy crap, could it be worse?
You could get a franchise player in Luis Ariz and just trade him because
it's not good. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying being a Twins fan is always good, but it could be worse.
You could make the playoffs one year and then trade your entire, like Twins fans are mad and they should be rightfully mad that the Twins made the playoffs, won a playoff series.
Yes.
And the franchise decided to cut payroll.
Yes.
That is 100% justifiable. Here's how it could be worse. You could be the Miami Marlins who made the playoffs, had a batting champion, had Jazz Chisholm, an player that you felt good about, had a really good pitching staff that you developed, and then decided to trade Jazz, trade Jake Berger, trade Luis Ariz, all because your team underperformed the next year. Like in a span of 12 months, you went from playoff contender to rebuilding again. Like a full, not like we got to retweak and we got to right size the payroll. It was nope, back to square one. That was fun. Like back to sucking again.
Yeah, no, they're losers.
They're losers because their franchise wants to. Again, poll ads they're not a good ownership group. This is not trying to salvage their legacy at all. It could have been much worse because Miami just literally wants to pinch pennies and they changed owners. Like Jeffrey Lurie was the really bad owner who built the stadium and left. Shocker. He built the stadium to inflate his franchise's value and then cashed out. The new group bought the franchise. Remember they put Derek Jeter as the team president? And within 2 years, they're like, Derek, you care too much about winning baseball games. You got to leave.
I would argue here just to further emphasize the point. That guy didn't build squat. He made the city pay for that.
He made the city on a backhanded deal to tear down the Orange Bowl.
He made somebody else pay for it and then sold it for more money.
Mm-hmm.
Douchebag.
Yeah, nobody likes that guy in Miami. And Miami, again, goes without saying, that is a market. Because go on YouTube. You can find it. Go on YouTube, especially if you're watching the Morning Sports Desk on YouTube. Go just Google or YouTube in the search bar the 2003 World Series. They packed that stadium. Like, Miami loves baseball. They're a sports city. They love the Heat. They love the Dolphins.
It's full of Cubans. They love baseball. they love baseball. They love baseball. Just all you have to do is like just fill your team full of Dominicans and Cubans. Like, you let Yoenis Cespedes be the manager of that team, and that will be enough. The expectations don't have to be high. They love baseball in that town. Period. You don't even have to try that hard.
Right.
You have to try.
Right. Well, they're playing a division with Miami, or are they playing a division with New York and Philly? And how are you just supposed to compete? The Nationals won a World Series 5 years ago.
This is too much Marlins talk. They suck.
They stink. Thanks for Pablo Lopez. All right, morning sports desk. We out.
No. I have a surprise for you.
Ooh.
Rumor out in NFL circles as of this morning, seen on Bring Me the News.
Bring me the news.
It appears as if Nick Chubb will not be returning to Cleveland. And it is rumored to be an NFC North team where he will end up. Now, obviously, when there's only 4 teams in the division, you have to talk about all of them. We talk about the Vikings first because that's whom we love the most. It's not going to be the Vikings, right? Probably, right? Because of Aaron Jones and whatever that guy's face is from San Francisco that they just signed. It's not going to be the Vikings.
Yeah, no, it really feels like, you know who it probably is? It's probably Chicago.
All right, I'm glad you brought this up.
Because Detroit doesn't need running backs. The Packers don't like to bring in free agents. And Ben Johnson has DeAndre Swift on his roster, who he did not like when he was in Detroit. So my guess is like they're going to bring somebody in to basically fill that role.
Your running back rosters in Detroit, David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs.
Good.
The Bears have DeAndre Swift and Rashawn Johnson. Huh? What's that?
Ooh.
And the Bears have Josh Jacobs and Marshawn Lloyd. Now, Jacobs is obviously a stud.
He's the bell cow.
He's a stud. Who I don't even know who that other guy is. But to your point, yeah, based on depth chart and depth chart alone, it would kind of seem like if he went anywhere, and the NFC North team is true in this rumor mill, why wouldn't it be Chicago?
Right.
They have money to spend would be the question.
My guess is they do, to make it like for a running back contract. Like, yeah, that probably would
rookie
be
quarterback, all the things.
Right.
He makes and people talked about Chicago in their drafting. Like, boy, if they decide to go get this guy or this guy or this guy,
rumor that they wanted to trade up for Genty.
Exactly. You know who else might be a decent Ashton Genty replacement?
Nick Chubb.
A healthy Nick Chubb, off his. How many knees do you have?
I don't know, but he's gone through about 8 of them.
That's exactly right. So that's the one maybe potentially scary thing about this. But when you have Caleb and you've got 9,000 receivers, I'd be a little worried if I was a Chicago fan that they're doing their best early 2000s Detroit Lions impression of just nothing but skill players and nothing else. But that'd be a fun little fit for them.
Mm-hmm. Probably would be. The only case you can make for the Vikings is the fact that Kwesi Adofo-Mensah did spend some time in Cleveland with GM Andrew Berry.
Yep.
And Kwesi Adofo-Mensah talks a lot about Andrew Berry. He's like, yeah, that guy really helped me get my start. He took me under his wing. So maybe you're like, oh, hey, maybe because Kwesi was probably in that organization when they drafted Chubb, or at least when he's part of the time. So there could be a case where Kwesi's like, hey, I've studied that guy a lot. I've seen that guy in the building. That's a guy we want to get in there. That would be the only case scenario. But yeah, with Aaron Jones and with Jordan Mason in that room there, and Ty Chandler is RB3. Yeah, it doesn't really feel like that's going to be the route. They're going to trade for Cam Akers again in October. So that's as is tradition.
God bless Cam Akers.
All right, let's get out of here. Morning Sports Desk, powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena.
Powered by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Follow the Morning Sports Desk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And watch every show on YouTube.